This is To the Front. Tools for today's top agents.
Hey, welcome back. Episode number 22 of the To the Front podcast. We're so grateful if you've been along for the journey, whether you're joining us on Apple Podcast or Spotify or YouTube or, wherever you get your podcast, you should be able to find To the Front. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the journey. Today's episode, I got a real treat for you. In fact, I got a guest that probably needs no introduction. But before I do that, I want to tee up the topic for a second. As an agent, as a business owner, I truly believe that you've got two ways that you can view your business. You can either view your business through the windshield, or you can view your business through the rearview mirror. Let me say that again. You can view your business through the windshield, or you can view your business through the rearview mirror. In other words, you can view your business as, man, what am I going to do going forward? How am I going to grow? How am I going to scale? How am I going to profit? Or you could look back and say, you know what went wrong? Or I'm going to just celebrate the successes of yesterday. Now, there's necessarily nothing wrong with kind of commiserating a little bit and thinking about the past and how can I learn for the future. But what I sense when I talk to agents is often they spend more time thinking about what went wrong and kind of licking their wounds, so to speak, versus looking in the front mirror, looking through the windshield and saying, how do I grow? How do I scale? And I believe that has everything to do with your mindset. And to come on and talk about that with me is David Peterson from Coach P Consulting. Coach P needs no introduction. Man, brother, welcome to the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm awesome. Very excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Adam.
Come on, man. Hey, if you, again, like I say this a lot in my podcast, but you have to be hiding under a rock to don't know who Coach P is. David Peterson, Coach P Consulting. Maybe also you've heard about the popular events right now, the scale and profit events that are happening with David and Al Shattuck. If you've not been a part of one of those, you need to be. And we're going to let you know how to do that. But hey, before we get into that, I want to bring up the topic at hand about the mindset and about how do you scale and profit. That's the topic of the day today, the scale and profit mindset. But before that, David, hey, share with us a little bit about your journey with a captive agency. If you don't know Coach P, he is a top performing captive agent here. Also runs a powerful consulting group where just so many agents are a part of that. So tell us a little bit about your journey, how you became an agent. Maybe even talk a little bit how that evolved into Coach P Consulting.
Sure. I'll do my best to give you the condensed version.
Let's go.
I've been an agent for 14 years, opened my agency in Dallas, Texas, and moved from Tennessee. I didn't know a single soul in the entire state of Texas and decided to take a leap and come out here and thought I was ready to start agency and absolutely was not. Got my butt handed to me the first year. Really struggled and needed a kind of awakening moment from leadership where my contract was on the line, just poor production, right? I didn't know how to lead. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to hold people accountable. I knew how to sell. I thought that's what insurance was about.
Sure.
It wasn't even close. So, thank God looking back for that wake up call, because it made me realize that just hard work doesn't get it done. It solves a lot of problems, but it does not have all the answers with it. So I kind of recalibrated in year 2 and completely changed my style. And by the end of that second year, we were hitting our goals. We were doing our thing. And we had eventually worked ourselves up to the number 25 agency in our company.
Unbelievable.
And things were great. And then I decided to go out and do something dumb and open up a second agency. And all the struggles started over again. So, exact same timeline. I struggled for a good 18 months, going on 2 years. And then at the end of the second year, really started trying to figure out how to run 2 businesses as opposed to one, because it's a completely different animal for anyone that hasn't taken it on yet. And we figured it out. We made some massive changes, which has kind of led to the point of the call today, the scale part. And we got it figured out. And by year 3, we were starting to rock and roll. And then, a few years later, here comes office number 3. Unfortunately, by the time the third go around happened, I did not repeat all my failures. So we've got a good thing going now with 3, and
wow,
now operating one of the largest agencies in the company, and having an absolute blast. And about 4 years ago, that success and the structure that we created led us into Coach P. And Coach P was not something I went out and anticipated to do. I had just found myself helping a lot of agents, because of our success. A lot of people were coming to me, and I'm a yes guy. I've always been a yes guy. I always will be a yes guy. I want to do everything I can to help others, because I was that struggling agent multiple times that was just looking for a life jacket, like somebody come save me. And so many people said yes, right? And they helped me. I didn't do it myself. I'll be very clear about that. I had so many peers that said, well, yeah, this is how we run meetings. This is how we recruit. This is how we build a team. And I started chopping away one step at a time. And, with 3 offices and helping all my peers, I was just struggling with time. I've also got 4 kids.
Wow, 4 kids.
9 and under. So things are busy everywhere. And I didn't want to say no. And I didn't want to not have time at home. I didn't want to not have time for all my employees. So one day a light bulb just went off. And it was at the very beginning of COVID, where everything was moving remote. And I said, man, what if I just kind of brought it together? What if I said, all these agents that I'm helping, why don't I just let you be a part of my team meeting?
Yeah.
Team meetings, that's what fixed everything. It was me saying, I'm going to meet every single day with my team, and I'm going to coach, I'm going to prepare and plan. So that's what we did. We just brought all of my peers in to our team meeting and said, hey, I'm going to coach all y'all while I'm coaching my team. And now everyone is winning together. And that quickly exploded. We did it for a few months. All of a sudden they started asking, hey, can we bring more people in? And all of a sudden there were 50 people on our call. And I said, whoa, I gotta figure this out. This is turning into a whole nother thing. So we created Coach P. And now we've got agents in every area of the country. We coach about 800 to 1,000 people on every live call twice a week. And we just talk everything insurance, everything running a business, and how to succeed in the insurance space.
Yeah, boy, no, I think you did that really well. In fact, I remember the first time I heard about you or heard about your consulting was probably 2 or 3 years ago. We were in Orlando together at a Tim Linden event. And I remember anytime you were speaking, the room was jam packed. It was jammed. And then you had like a second class, right? So when you say you got 800 to 1,000 agents, I believe it, because it was the most popular class. It was the most popular sort of breakout, group of that conference. And so I think you've really launched onto, something. And I think something else you said is really relatable, because we've got agents all over the place who probably feel right now exactly as you felt in your first year. They know they can sell. They're good salesmen. Maybe they came from a sales background, but running an agency, it just takes more than that.
Yeah.
And then it seems like you just found some strength in numbers, then open your second office and your third office. And all of a sudden now you have scaled. And every agent listening, I think, probably wants to do the exact same thing. At least I hope they want to grow.
Yeah.
I at least hope. I guess if you don't want to grow, this is probably the wrong podcast for you, to be honest with you. All right. There's definitely other podcasts that you can listen to, because this one is all about how do you take the next step forward? How do you make a better life for your family? How do you make a better life for those on your team? How do you insure more lives while doing that? So fantastic. Okay, well, let's talk about mindset if we can, because I'm sure your journey took not only practical, tactical types of things, it took a change up here, right up in your head to say, okay, I'm going to move from what's happened or what I know to what it could be. All right. So obviously you guys are doing the Scale and Profit events, you and Al Shattuck. So let me ask you about some of the common roadblocks that you're seeing right now with agents as you're maybe meeting these agents at events or on calls. What are some roadblocks to that scale and profit mindset, that mindset that says we're going to charge forward, we're going to grow, we're going to do what it takes? So tell me some of those common roadblocks that you hear.
Sure. Well, a lot of it for people is having the know-how, not understanding the steps that it takes to successfully run a business, because most insurance agents, they're never taught that side of the business. They're taught insurance, they're taught sales, they're not taught business. So the majority of us, we just don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
We think hard work's can do it. And some of us get fortunate to be around some people that are better than us and show us how to actually run a business and not just be an insurance agent. And that's the big theme. And that's what I'm passionate about, is this difference between being an insurance agent and a business owner. And I'm very clear in my classes that neither one is wrong, right? There's not an option that's better than another, but they're two very, very different jobs.
They are totally different.
And so many people are trying to run a business while they're an insurance agent, and it doesn't work. It does not go together. And that's why so many people struggle and beat their head against a wall, because they're trying to do the wrong thing with their mindset, right? So we really break that down and help people understand that these are two extremely different jobs. And if you want to go down this path of business owner, these are the changes you have to make. This is the structure that you have to set up. And this is the future that you want to get on. But to go back to your question, these obstacles to the mindset, I love the way you asked that, because you spoke about mindset. And I would say for a lot of people, besides the know-how and learning the how-to of the job, it's the mindset. And so many people don't understand what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And I know that personally, because I was that guy, right? I never had these things on my vision board or my goal list. I didn't know I was capable of them, right? So all we have to do is just commit to getting better.
Wow.
Because if we never stop improving, just one step at a time, we're going to wake up one day and realize we have blown way past where we ever thought we were going to get. And now we get more and more excited because we don't know what we're capable of. I still have no idea what our potential is, because we're already in a territory that we didn't think was possible. So that mindset piece is making sure to believe in yourself. And a lot of people really struggle with that.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do, and if you're here, this means that you're going down that road, because you're listening to other people, you're taking stuff in, you're trying to figure out how to get better, but you have to continue. You have to consume these podcasts. You have to go read the books. And most importantly, you have to surround yourself with like-minded peers that want success. They want to get to the next level, because that's where the magic happens. You have to have that group that's going to push you and also show you the way. Because unfortunately in insurance, there's a lot of people that are very complacent, right? We're in a world where you can make some pretty good money relatively quickly, and you don't have to start over every year. So a lot of people get up to this level and kind of put it on cruise control. And a lot of them don't do it intentionally. They just start to take their foot off the gas, right? They start to
see it every day.
They start to leave early to play golf. They start to take off Fridays and whatever. And I'm not judging that. But the issue is, once you start to do it, it's very hard to re-engage.
Yeah.
Right? That's difficult. So you've got to have those peers that are with you that aren't going to let you take your foot off the gas. They're going to keep pushing you forward. And I think if you have that in your life and you get better one day at a time, we have no idea how far we can go.
Boy, you know what? I'm a faith-based guy, coach, and there's a passage that says bad company corrupts good morals, right? But I would also say it this way: bad company will destroy your business. It'll definitely not. Maybe it definitely won't push it forward, right? So it is who you decide to surround yourself with will kind of determine where you go, right? Whoever your traveling partners are. Boy, I mean that you hit that a nail on the head. Agents, if you're listening you cannot do this alone. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe you're just smarter than I am, but the best agents I know are the ones who surround themselves with really, really good people, with other agents, with coaches, with organizations who want to push you forward. Right. So that was huge. And then something else you also said is that people don't really know what they're capable of.
No, not a clue.
Do you think that's a product of just being beaten up over and over?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think it's human nature we have limits, right? I mean, there's a reason you're scared to jump off the high dive if you've never done it before. We just have these built-in limitations, and some of us aren't brave enough to see bigger or dream further than our immediate vision until someone shows us that we can, right? I get to know you, Adam, and learn that you're amazing at this thing that I'm awful at. And as we get to know each other, I realize like, hey, you're not that different than me. You're disciplined in this one area. And then I get a little confidence and I say, I can do that. Mm-hmm. I can do it just like you can, right? It just takes some repetition. So I really think a lot of it is just exposure, a lot of exposure.
Yeah. And maybe a little taste of success. You see your, President's Club folks, your big multi-line guys and, gals, and they're up on platform and their names are being said and spoken, and you're seeing them on social posts, and you're like, I don't know if that could ever be me. And I do think there is value in being okay with who you are, but I do think that inside of us, there should be a drive to grow. There should be a drive to do more than what we think we can do, right? So it speaks to that mindset. And I think the key is not to just get up and talk yourself into it. It's to surround yourself with people who can remind you who you are. I had a mentor a long time ago. This is back before I was in software or marketing, or now I was a pastor, man. If you can believe that or not, I was a pastor. I was a pastor that cussed a lot. And I had a guy one time who said, do you know what friendship is? And I said, well, yeah, it's us hanging out. We were at Waffle House, by the way, my favorite place on planet Earth. That's part of my problem. He said, no, real friends, the best definition of friendship is that in a friendship, you teach each other your song, and your friend's job is to sing the song back to you when you forget the lyrics. I thought that was really powerful. A little bit soft, but it was really powerful to me, right? Is that the point of friendship, point of networking, being together, is that you tell people your hopes and dreams and how you want your business to grow. And then when you forget that, when you lose the handle on it, your friend, your people that you surround yourself with are there to remind you. They're there to remind you that what could be and what is true today doesn't have to be true tomorrow if it's a place that you don't want to be. All right, so let's think back to your agency. Think about this scale and profit mindset. Let's talk about some building blocks. All right, so what are the things, those sort of non-negotiable ingredients that you would say, okay, if you want to change your mindset, if you want to scale and profit your agency, what are some of those building blocks that really need to be in there? Maybe you can even share some ingredients that don't need to be in that equation. So if I'm an agent listening, tell me about some building blocks I need to start putting in once I've sort of mentally accepted, I want to grow, I want to go forward. Now, how do I do that?
Yeah. I'd like to go back to how you opened up the call with looking out the windshield or the rearview mirror. And I think as the business owner, we have to have the ability to do both, and we have to schedule the time to do both, because so many of us are windshield only, right? Yeah. And we're working as hard as we can get. We're trying to get to tomorrow, and we're trying to achieve these goals that we've set, which is great. We have to have it, especially as business owners. The majority of us are going to be the visionaries in our workplace, right? We're the ones that have to come up with the future. Where do we see ourselves going? What do we need to move around right now? That visionary piece is so important because most people don't have that, right? So in your agency or your business, you're going to be the one. But it's also so important to go look at the rearview mirror, because if we never step out of the whirlwind, it's very hard to see the big picture items, right? And if we step away proactively and look at data, we can find problems and opportunities fairly easy, right? So I've now gotten to a place where I've got one day out blocked on the calendar for planning, right? One day a week. And it used to be, I would always try to do it on Sundays. But with 4 kids and sports, those Sundays, they
ain't happening
a lot, right? I just came back from a Scale and Profit. I was gone all last week in Portland. I came back, in-laws were here for Easter, and I wasn't able to do anything all week, right? And that just happened too much on the weekend. So this year I said, hey, on Wednesdays, it's my planning day. I'm not going to take any client appointments. I'm not going to take any employee appointments. I am going to look high level at the business and figure out what's going on. And it's been a game changer, right? Wow. And not everybody can do this weekly, but as long as you're doing it monthly, I think as a business owner, you absolutely have to do that and pull back and look at high level stuff. So that's just something I want to get back to that you mentioned earlier. I think that's so important. And we just have to be proactive to do it, or our calendar and our times can just absolutely eat us up.
You know it.
But the other stuff, for me, number one, and I think this is the reason we scaled just quicker than the average person, is I have always believed in people. I've always believed that people are by far our number one resource. And I never saw it differently, right? That's just something that I innately knew or believed. It was funny. We had a Scale and Profit event this past week that I was just talking about in Portland, and we were at the end of the conference, we were talking about some takeaways with some agents. An agent raised his hand. And he said, my big takeaway here is that people are assets. They're not expenses. Mm-hmm. And it's a good reminder, because I've heard that so many times over the years, how many business owners look at their people as expenses. And it blows my mind, because if we don't have people, we have nothing, right? We're working ourselves to death. The profit margin isn't nearly what it should be. We cannot scale quickly at all. And every time I have the opportunity, I am looking for good people to add to my team. Now, there's right and wrong ways to do this. I'm not saying go crazy on people, but if you're very selective and you have a good recruiting process and you're looking for talent, do everything you can to get good people. Yeah. And, the steps that we talk about in Scale and Profit is make sure you're recruiting the right ones, and then get them, right? Make sure you lock them down, and then make sure you onboard them properly. And then, I'll end this question on this. And I think this is our number one responsibility, and our most important thing as the business owner is the culture.
Yeah.
We own the culture. We have to be in charge of it, and we have to make sure that it is rock solid, because if it's not, people will leave us. And insurance is a job that people leave a lot, right? There's a lot of in and out in this business, and it doesn't have to be that way, right? You can make yourself a destination employer. You can make yourself a place where people love to be and they don't want to go anywhere else. And if we do this, if we can find and then retain top talent, the stacking that we do over the years on knowledge and resources is absolutely incredible. I spoke to a top agent at Allstate years ago, and he talked to me about his culture. And I don't think he said this. I think one of his employees said this. I coincidentally have run into 3 of his employees over the years. He told me there was a culture problem, right? He told me that people were not close. They didn't really hang out, and it just wasn't fun. And his people told me it was a revolving door of employees. No one stayed. Nobody had respect for each other. Nobody had respect for the boss. And that's really hard to grow a business that way, right? I mean, you have to be unbelievable at what you do to have success. But even if you have success, what I would challenge is, if that's your culture and the environment that you have, just constantly losing people, even if you're successful, are you having fun?
Yeah.
Are you passionate about it, or are you just beat down because you're having to just hire new people and retrain all the time. And that's part of business, obviously. But if it's the theme in your office, if that's the culture, that's a problem for quality of life. And I would challenge anyone out there listening that it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can be the destination. You can get people, you can retain them, and you can just keep stacking people. And I think that's a mindset that everybody has got to get behind if they're truly going to take their business to the next level.
That's right. Yeah. You mentioned stacking. I actually love that. You know, how do you stack wins? Right. It's not trying to get everything right away. It's let's do a few things right now.
Yeah.
And then watch it grow. I mean, you mentioned being a visionary. So maybe you've never seen yourself as a visionary. Well, you should. A visionary is one who looks and is just looking for what we call a preferable future. So if you want to be a visionary, just sit down with your favorite drink and think, boy, if life could be any way, what would it look like? Boy, you're a visionary. That's it, right? It's just a vision of a preferable future, right? And then you said a day of planning. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm personally challenged with that. I mean, right now I'm doing about every other month. I'm going to carve out a day. I'm going to tell Jay no appointments, and I'm going to get away and do that. To do that every week is some discipline, but I buy it. I buy it because if you don't get away, if you don't carve out the time to work, obviously you've heard this on the business, you're always going to be in the business, and therefore your business can't take the next step because you're too busy in the muck. And then I loved your stance that building block of people. It's huge, right? You said people are not assets. Excuse me, they are assets. They're not expenses, right? I've heard it said that people are people. People are not commodities, right? They're not people to be burned through. And hey, I'll tell you, Coach, that's probably the number one thing I hear over at Front Runner is, man, I've lost my team, or I've got to get a new team, or, hey, we got to take these people off Front Runner because they're no longer my team and everybody's new. And, and sometimes you can't help that as an agent, but the reality is that maybe you need to slow down because there could be, like the fourth thing you said is a culture issue. And I'm a big believer that culture is not what you say it is. Culture is what your team members would say it is when you're not around. That's the best litmus test of culture. What would they truly say if they didn't fear you getting mad at them or firing them? What would they truly say about your culture? Man, those are big, big building blocks. Man, I'm grateful that I'm writing them down. I'm going to share them in my business and steal them from you.
Love it.
Because those are really, really solid things. Okay. So what would you say to the agent who says, all right, hey, David, I've added to my revenue, right? My book's bigger. I'm growing my cars, all of my financial services. Still having a tough time profiting, right? Like it seems like my expenses are rising as fast as my revenue. Have you ever met agents like that? And I guess what direction would you give them to if they're struggling with the profit piece of it? And maybe,
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to spend money in a business.
Sure.
It's very easy. It's funny. We had a guy go to a scale and profit class last year and followed up. And he's like, I'm in debt now. He left. He was so excited. He's like, I went crazy. I hired everybody. I increased the marketing. And I'm like, we went back and we're like, that's not what it's about, right? It's not about just spending more. It's about running a smart business and doing this stuff in stages, right? You got to build a team first, right? Go from 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Alex said something last week that I absolutely loved. He hadn't said this yet in one of our conferences, but he said, go from 3 to 3. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if you have 3 average people, get 3 really damn good people, right?
Yeah.
Or if you have 1 killer and 2 average, like, let's move out the 2 average people. Let's get 3 rock stars before we try and go to 5. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about incremental growth, right? You get your team first. And then when you have really good people, then you spend money on marketing, right? It doesn't go the other way around. You don't try and save a bad marriage by having a baby, right?
Yeah, sure.
If you got crappy employees, don't go spend a ton in marketing, right? Because yes, sales will go up, but you're still getting a poor ROI. Like, fix the team first. And then when you have rock stars, go spend some money on them. right? That way you're getting the highest ROI possible. And you do this in stages. And it's also, it's a slow buildup, right? Now, some people are better at it than others. Like some people know how to run a business. Some people understand the numbers, others don't. And if you don't, slow down, right? Don't have your foot on the gas. If you're brand new to this, you're trying to figure it out, take it one step at a time. This is a long career, right? You don't have to come out of the gate doing this stuff immediately. And one of the dumbest things you can do, don't do it to impress people, right? Like run your own race. Don't play the comparison game. We're all in different stages for a reason. But, Alex and I talk about this a lot. We're both very proud that neither one of us have taken on any business debt. I've been an agent for 14 years and I've been able to grow to a team of 50 people organic without taking on debt. And, I told Alex, I was like, we've always said that with pride, but knowing what I know now, I would do things differently. Remember, knowing what I know now, I can't go back and change the past.
Sure.
Like, if I was going to do it again, I'd have to learn my lessons the hard way. But if I knew what I knew right now and was starting over, I wouldn't be opposed to taking a loan because I now know the value of people, the value of marketing, the value of processes. And now that I have these things in place, spend, baby, spend, right?
That's right.
But it took me 14 years for those building blocks to be in place. And I understand now what that return is long-term. And I would take that challenge all day long and I would bet on me.
Yeah.
But for the majority of agents out there that haven't gotten there yet, you have to have the structure. You have to have the systems and processes. You have to have the team. You have to have marketing. Like you have to have all these things working together so that you do it the right way. Right. I had a good friend of mine came into agency. She hired 11 people her first year.
Wow.
She had absolutely no clue how to manage people. She didn't know what to do. So what did she do? She wasted a ton of money. She didn't retain anyone, and she ended up in a ton of debt, right? Because she was trying to throw numbers at it. And that is not our message at all. Even if you have one person, make sure that one person is freaking great before you take the next step. And you just keep building one building block at a time. And then one day you turn around and holy cow, you've built something pretty impressive.
Yeah. So the message is, you would say, slow and steady versus fast and blind.
What happens is it's just like compound interest, right? For anyone listening, if you haven't seen the story of doubling a penny, and I don't remember what the length of time is. It 30 days? What's the story? I think it might be only 30 days. It's something crazy,
like if you double it every day. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's asking the person, what would you rather have? Would you rather have $1 million or would you double a penny every day for, I think it's only 30 days. Anyway, point of the story is it's a very slow burn for quite a while, right? I mean, it takes almost like 3 weeks to where you get to actually see progress, right? But then once you see progress, you have insane amounts of growth. And this is my message. If you do it slow and steady, if you're smart at the beginning, if you continue making the right hire, if you're putting things in place, if you're adding marketing, if you're never missing out on a great recruit, right? And you build and you build and you build, one day you're going to get to a place where they start coming in a lot faster, right?
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example of that. We probably got up to 15 to 20 employees after 11 years, right? And that's a big agency, right? That's fast. That's fast growth. Got to 15 to 20 after 11 years. And then going to year 14, which we're going to hit our anniversary probably by the time this airs, we're now at 50 because we had the processes in place. We had the systems, we had the capital, and then all the momentum just started coming faster and faster and faster. And we were able to do things I had absolutely no ability to do in the first 10 years. Like we weren't set up for it, right? So slow and steady turns into fast if you do it the right way.
If you do it the right way, yeah. So it seems like when we're talking about big rocks, you would suggest, hey, make sure your systems, processes, the idea of what you want your culture to be first. Then go find, the right people, right? It's the Jim Collins of Good to Great. Find the right people, figure out where they're going to sit. And then you build them, you train them, you onboard them, you get one right or get two right, not 15 right. It's very tough to get. It's tough to get 15 people all going in the same direction at the same time. Like I don't have 4 kids. I've got 2, but now that I have 2, it's tough. And one's 17 and one's 4. So it's speaks to my non-planning. But even getting a family of 4 all going in the same direction is very difficult as a family. Think about how hard it is if you hire a whole bunch of people. So get a few going in the right direction, built into a solid system. Then you can start stacking wins, and then you add the marketing to it, right? Like, and that's, gosh, we've done 2 or 3 episodes already on marketing. If you're not spending money on marketing, I don't know why you're even in business. You have to market. You have to, and you have to do it in a smart way. But what you talked about, I like it. You talked about ROI. I would venture to guess, and I don't want to make a big blanket statement to just indict a bunch of people, but I would guess that not just insurance agents, most business owners have no idea what their ROI is. They have no idea what I would call their dollar machine. In the most simplest phrase, right? If I had a machine that was called my business and I put $1 into it, how many dollars come out the other end? And that's the simplest way I viewed ROI. If I put $1 in, how much money comes out? I would venture to say, and tell me if you agree or not, that most people don't have a very good handle on what their actual ROI is for their business.
Not a clue, me included, right? I was that agent forever that was for, probably 10 years out of my 14 was doing what I thought was necessary. Like I was doing what I thought was enough. I knew I needed to spend money in marketing, but I didn't know how much. I didn't know what the right amount was. So I just I did enough, right? I want to keep my people busy. And it's because of Coach P that I went to the next level. It's because, I'm doing 2 calls a week on Coach P, and we're bringing in top agents, the best business they're doing. Hey, tell us what you're doing. And I started consistently hearing from the best agents what kind of money they were dropping on marketing. I'm like, man, I am not playing in this space the right way. So it's about learning from others, and I'll go back to something you said right before about kind of those building blocks and putting the right things in place. I'll tell you the thing that changed it for me, that really set us on this path, was the mindset. And I made it in year 3 after struggling like everyone else. Everyone's biggest struggle is team, right? Yeah. And it's not insurance. It's all business owners. The by far the biggest struggle is team. And we're just getting beat up like anyone else, losing hires, having people in, not have success, leave, just all of it. And I changed my mindset in year 3 and said, I'm done with this. I've got to figure it out. I want to be a destination employer. That right there was the that changed everything. Why can I not go compete with the Googles and the Facebooks and the Apples of the world that everyone wants to go work for? Why can I not compete with them? And I started doing some research, right? I started talking to people in big companies like, Enterprise, Stryker, Eli Lilly, companies that had these big machines and were sought out after jobs. And I said, hey, we can mimic these things with our own flavor, right? You always got to be yourself, so that you attract people. Because if you're not authentic, they're not going to come to you. And we committed to that big in year 3, and we built on it. And we've been building on it for 11 years now. And that changed every single thing about our agency. It was one tiny little change of mindset, built everything that you see today.
Wow. Unbelievable. Well, hey, you are a busy guy, David. I'm so grateful that you've spent a few moments with us this morning. And the reality is this was not meant to teach you everything about how to scale and profit, but doggone it, you got some really good building blocks. But the reality is that you can't stop right here if you want to scale and profit your agency. What you need to do, you need to engage Coach P and I'm not saying and or, I'm going to say you need to engage Coach P Consulting and you need to engage the Scale and Profit event. So tell us how people can get in touch with you, how they can engage with that, how they can attend an event. Tell us how we can do that.
Well, our next event is August 20th and 21st in Chicago. Very excited about that one. And I'm telling you, if you're an insurance agent, there's not another event out there that's like this. We've been doing this for 2 years now, and we get the same feedback every single time. It's the best thing I've ever seen because it's different than everything out there. It's truly about running a business.
Right.
It's life-changing. So you can find our future dates on our website, which is app.coachpconsulting.com. And if you drop that you heard it from Front Runner, we'll let you have a 50% off in your first month.
That's a good deal.
If you want to interact with me, the best place is Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I share everything. Like, you can see what we do when we do it. We don't have any secrets. I respond to the DMs. My Instagram handle is Saving with David. So if you want to keep up with me, that's the best place to do it. Check me out on Instagram.
Yeah, those two things. If you were listening, if you're watching on YouTube, you saw those across the bottom. I'm going to do it again in a second. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, the IG handle is @SavingWithDavid, just spelled out @SavingWithDavid. He says he tries to engage most of those, as many as he can, and he is a man of his word because I know people who have. So say @SavingWithDavid Instagram, but then even better, go to app.coachpconsulting.com. app.coachpconsulting.com. We're also going to put that in the video description in the podcast title, because if you go there, mention the podcast, mention Front Runner, they're going to give you 50% off the first month, which is a deal. I'm telling you, it is a deal. I'm a big believer that you get what you pay for. So it's worth it to invest there. So, hey, any final words for us, Coach, before I let you go? I know to catch you on a Monday morning after a long holiday weekend, being gone in Portland all week is just, we are crazy lucky for that. So thank you. So any final words for our listeners today? Yeah, guys, just reach out. There are so many people in this business that are willing to help. So no matter where you're at, no matter how much you're struggling, I can assure you, I've been there. And as long as you have the right people in your corner and a little bit of belief, you can achieve anything you want. So reach out anytime. I'm happy to help. Huge. Hey, again, listen to that. If this is a podcast you need to re-listen to, just because I believe that this could apply to every business, whether you're an insurance agent or not. This could apply to your business. How do you scale and profit? Look out the front windshield. Quit just looking at what happened, but that wouldn't be a bad thing either, to look behind as well, so that you can learn and grow from it and build something truly great for you and your family. David, thanks so much again for coming on. Really, really appreciate you. Thanks for having me, Adam. Have a good day. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to be it for episode 22 of To the Front. Again, big thank you to Coach P from Coach P Consulting. Make sure you check him out again. That's going to be @SavingWithDavid on Instagram. Better yet, go to app.coachpconsulting.com. You can also go to their events page. You're going to find the next dates for their Scale and Profit events. Guys, you need to go to that event. I've heard nothing but incredible things about it. You need to make sure to be there. So don't forget to check us out. Next week, we have another amazing episode coming from you. We're all about tools for you. And so this next week is going to be one, again, that you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss episode number 23 of To the Front. Like I say every single week, go lead your business with courage. Go grow it. Go build something that's more important than money, something that's going to last and impact people for now and forever. So until then, appreciate you. Take care.